In every major war in history, geography has played a role. The land, the battlefield, the weather, these factors are always present. But in some wars, one single factor becomes so powerful that it alone decides victory or defeat. History has seen moments where nature itself became the deadliest enemy. When Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Russia, it was not the Russian army that first broke him, it was the winter. During World War II, when Adolf Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa in 1941, the same realization came again. As winter arrived, German movement slowed, supplies froze, and the campaign began to collapse. Russia's winter had once again proven impossible to conquer. In today's episode of the Man vs. Nature series, we explore a story where human ambition collided head-on with the forces of nature. A story in which a commander planned a campaign so boldly that his army was pushed into a situation where nature itself became the most powerful weapon. This story begins during the First World War. At the time, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and their allies, known as the Central Powers, were fighting against the Allied forces. On one side stood Russia, and on the other, France and the United Kingdom. Later, the United States would also join the war. In the early stages, Germany was winning. They invaded France and advanced rapidly. But in 1914, the Battle of the Marne stopped the German army just a few kilometers from Paris. After that, the Western Front came to a standstill. Both sides dug deep trenches, and the war there froze into a brutal stalemate. The Eastern Front, however, was different. Fighting between Germany and Russia remained fluid. With the Western Front stuck, leaders on both sides searched for other ways to gain victory. One such front lay to the south, Gallipoli, where the Allies attacked the Ottoman Empire. Another, far less discussed front was the Caucasus. Initially, Russia believed its main struggle would remain against Germany. But when the Ottoman Empire joined the Central Powers in late 1914, the Caucasus front suddenly became critical. Germany welcomed this development, hoping the Ottomans would distract Russia and divide its focus. The Ottoman Empire saw an opportunity. Their short-term goal was to capture key territories such as Ardahan, Artvin, Kars, and the port of Batum. But the long-term vision belonged to Ismail Enver Pasha, the Ottoman war minister. He believed that success in the Caucasus would allow Muslims in the region to revolt against Russia and reconnect with the Ottoman Empire. Confident after repelling a Russian offensive in late 1914, Enver Pasha decided to launch a major attack. Inspired by Napoleon's strategy, he planned to encircle Russian forces using 3 army corps and destroy them in a single, decisive blow. What Enver Pasha failed to understand was the battlefield itself. The front stretched over 1,200 kilometers. The fighting would take place on a high plateau, nearly 6,000 feet above sea level, deep in the Caucasus Mountains. Ottoman soldiers, many from warm regions, were ordered to march through extreme cold in November and December. They lacked winter clothing, proper food, and adequate supplies. Artillery could not move through the narrow mountain paths. Supplies had to be carried by hand and animals. Nature had already turned hostile before the enemy was even encountered. On December 22, 1914, as Christmas approached, the Ottoman army launched its attack. Nearly 90,000 soldiers were mobilized, but they never arrived together. The 3 corps became separated by snowstorms, mountains, and exhaustion. Thousands of soldiers froze to death before ever seeing a Russian position. On December 25th, while soldiers on the Western Front famously laid down their weapons during the Christmas truce, Ottoman soldiers in the Caucasus were dying silently in the snow. By the time the surviving troops reached Sarikamish, they were exhausted, starving, and barely able to fight. Russian forces, entrenched and well-positioned, easily repelled the attacks. Counterattacks followed. Thousands of Ottomans were captured. Others simply collapsed from frostbite and exposure. By mid-January 1915, the campaign was over. Historians still debate the exact numbers, but estimates suggest that out of nearly 90,000 Ottoman soldiers, only around 12,000 returned. More than half died not from bullets, but from cold, hunger, and exhaustion. Nature had destroyed the army before battle could. The Russians also suffered losses, but they held the field and won the Battle of Sarikamish. The greatest failure was not courage, it was leadership. Enver Pasha planned the operation from a distance without understanding ground realities. He underestimated winter, terrain, logistics, and human limits. Later, he dismissed the defeat as a minor setback and shifted blame elsewhere, decisions that would have tragic consequences in the years to come.